Hello, this is Malorian, and this is going to be a 2,500 point game of my dwarves up against my orcs. This is another long range Skype game, and now I'm taking on a fella from Sweden. So, like I said, here's another interesting long range game. Just to kind of say where he's kind of from, he's known on Dwarpath as, I think it's called Theorox. I'm not sure how he actually pronounces it. Theorox. He has his own blog and all this stuff. But yeah, he just said, Maloran, do you want to have a game? And sure, why not? Unfortunately, the way that this game started was a little bit in a bad way because we got a little bit of a mix-up in the timing, so that by the time that I had logged in, and I thought I was logging in a little bit early, he'd been waiting there a good 40 minutes, so I felt kind of like a jerk about that, and then I also felt like kind of a jerk because of the way the terrain went. So we got the maximum 10 pieces, and I mean, I randomized to see where they go. I break up the board into 6 quadrants, can't have more than 2 in the same one, but on my side, which is determined because my bookshelf that my camera goes on is on one side. On my side, I was going to have all these woods, and I had a nice swamp there that you could use defensively, which is what dwarves want to do. And on his side, he had things like the haunted mansion, and there was the bane stone and all this stuff. And so, of course, when you have this long-range game, you have to really work off trust. It's not good to have it set up like this, where it has to make you really think, like, geez, I wonder if Malorian's kind of rigging stuff here. So I was feeling kind of bad for both those things. What we kind of did with it, though, is that the Haunted Mansion we never used as a Haunted Mansion. The one swamp, there's one where if you fail an initiative test, you lose D6 models. We only did it once. And then the Banestone, we just moved off to, just like that little speck of white you can see in the top right. So that never came into play. What I'm going to be having for my list here, and we're going for Blood and Glory, is that I have the Rune Lord on Anvil, and I have the Master Rune of Balance, and also basically the Spell Scroll type of thing on him. Then I also have, going from left to right, 40 warriors with shields and banner, 30 quarrelers with great weapons and banner, 2 organ guns, a flaming cannon, strength 5 grudge thrower that can re-roll the scatter. Then I got my horde of 40 dwarf warriors with great weapons, and in there I have my BSB that has 1+ armor. He has +1 strength, flaming attacks, and he has a Master Rune challenge, so I can make you charge me or flee. For his side, what he has is he has 4 trolls, he has 30 black orcs, and in there he has his war boss that has the whole axe of stunty bashing, so it'll work out pretty well here, and he has the armor of destiny and all that good stuff. Then he has 40 night goblins, and in there he has his BSB that's actually set up for combat with a great weapon and 2+ armor. He also has his level 2 night goblin shaman with scroll. Then he has his savages inside the Haunted Mansion, which is just a building. They're just regular savages. The biggins are those guys on the far left there that the war boss was in. These savages with extra hand weapon, there's 30 of them, banner. Actually, all of his units have full command. He is going to full out, and in there he has his level 4 shaman, that's a savage with the shrunken head and the fencer's blades. Then he has a boar chariot with extra rider, 30 black orcs, giant, and then the mangler squig. So really looking at this game, I set up first, I decided I was going to be defensive, so I'm up here, and really all I want to do is try and slow him down as much as I can. Because I can't use the Master Rune challenge on immune to psych units, it's probably going to be on his biggins on the left there, but I also have 20 miners coming on from the flank, so maybe I can do some shenanigans with the anvil, but I mean in the end we'll see what happens. My turn 1, I'm just going to show it from back here because it's not like I moved or anything. And really what happened is I took 4 wounds off the giant, killed a good number of the black orcs. I used the anvil onto his night goblins so that it can't march. And really what I'm trying to do is just I don't want to deal with these fanatics, and I want to keep his BSB away from his trolls. So maybe that will help out. And then also killed some of his biggins as well. So really just some good damage done with my shooting. His first turn then, he doesn't have any issues with animosity or stupidity, really just moving up and trying to close the gap. Yeah, you can see his savages came out of the building, and then when it came to magic, I mean, I have +3 dice, I steal one of your dice, he went for Foot of Gork, I just scrolled it, and that's pretty much his turn. My turn 2, I tried for some sneakiness, my miners came in, and I was going to go for a flank charge on the black orcs, but I failed it, so that would have been really nice, and now I'm just sitting right by a mangler squig. Otherwise, at the end of my turn, it looks like this. You can see that my shooting destroyed the giant, it destroyed the chariot, I killed some more of the black orcs and the other things, and really the other thing that's important here is that my BSB moved over so that I can use the Masaruna challenge onto his Biggins next turn. His turn 2, he has some animosity issues here, and he fails with both his Biggins and his Savages. Both go for charges into my Quarrelers, and they both failed. So that really is going to bog him down, because of course he has lost movement there, his Night Goblins are now stuck behind, and it really just slows down everything. So that was pretty bad luck for him. He also, going on with his bad luck, his Mangler looked to go through, and it's going to actually be pretty interesting how he's going to hit the corner of my unit, pop through, hit my organ gun, pop through, and it depends on the little angle. He might be in the middle, but either way, he'll be right in the middle of my war machines with his deadly Mangler. But as it turned out, he was like half a centimeter out. So that was pretty lucky for me, and in the magic phase, I just dispelled his spell again. Alright, my turn 3 then. I used the things like the organ gun in order to kill the Mangler, really putting in some more damage into things like the Biggins, and even though he had tried to be very careful with the Black Orcs to make sure I'd be in the front with the miners, I just moved to the side and then angled into the flank. Of course, when he fled, he got away because I -1 and all this stuff, but at least, you know, now they're pretty much broken. I can just charge them again the next turn, and there's a banner gone. His turn 3, this is where I use that, you know, charge me or flee, and they charge and obviously don't make it. He also tries to charge in with his Savages, doesn't make it. He does get off some magic this turn, and he blasts my Quarrelers, killing 2, and his Black Orcs rally and are ready to do some fighting. My turn 4, and this is where the wheels kind of fall off. I've had it really going my way so far. He has had some pretty bad luck. I've pulled some tricks. And this is where things, yeah, like I say, just fall apart. So what was supposed to happen here is I was going to move up the dwarves up there, the ones with great weapons, and then I was going to go and anvil them into the flank of the Black Orcs. You know, they can't flee because they're immune to psych, and then there's a really good chance I could then overrun into the flank of the Savages. Well, I rolled a 1 for my anvil, and then I can't use it this turn or next turn. So not only does that not happen, so you know, the Black Orcs are still there, the Savages are now going to be able to get their own charge, but now they will be able to flank my miners, which were just trying to get out of the way and go after his Night Goblins. So this is really bad. The only thing that I did have going for me is, if you could see there, that his Biggins are completely decimated. I just left the banner there because I kind of screwed up, but it's actually just the champ that's left in that unit. His turn 4 then, his Black Orcs charge the miners. I figure my best chance is to flee. He catches me. He has his Biggin that's running away while the general joins the Night Goblins. The Savages and the Trolls go into my Quarrelers, and it's just brutal. He just rips them apart. The Savages are now into the organ gun, and yeah, I need to get to these guys pretty quick, but they're out of line of sight for both units, so I have no way to counter them, and no anvil to help me at this point. My turn 5, and I should also say he's also been going for Fists of Gork, but I just let it go through, and on my turn I dispel it, because, I mean, when he gets into combat, he's crushing me anyway. And really what's happening here is I just move over my great weapons so that they can be ready to do something next turn. The cannon moved over so that once he destroyed the organ gun, he'd overrun into it, so that's what you see happening there. And shooting, I tried finishing off that last Biggin, but now I'm having some misfire problems, so I'm not able to do that so far. His turn 5, and this worked out pretty good for me. You know, with his general, he really wants to move down and be able to get in leadership range of his trolls, which actually pass their stupidity anyway. But the problem is that in order to get there, he'd be showing the flank to my great weapons. So he decided to keep them there. Black Orcs are just looking at the flank. And what happened is that the trolls charged the shield warriors. The Savages destroyed the cannon, only rolled a 6, so they couldn't get off the board. And then when the trolls were beat, then they were ran down. I ran into the flank of the Savages, and now those Savages are in big trouble because they got a unit in the flank. My warriors with the great weapons can get to the rear, and it's going to hurt. And so that's what I did, and it was just complete overkill. My what was it? The shield unit is now off the board. You can now see what the rest is here. My anvil killed that running biggin, so I get all those points. And yeah, I mean, he has some long charges, but other than that, there's not much he can do. And so, I mean, he goes for them, and he tries to do a magic phase. I mean, maybe he can kill my BSB, but I just stop it, and that's the game. So, victory to the dwarves, and just some thoughts on the game. I mean, the whole Skype system seems to be working very well. It was a little bit of an issue of still with the picture quality. You know what, he can see basically where things are, but like with my 4 war machines, he couldn't see which was which, or with my warriors, he couldn't really tell which was shield, which one was great weapon. But the nice thing is at least you can always ask, and I would tell him. He could always keep on asking the distances between things. Obviously I've been doing that, so it's working out, but I still gotta kind of find out a better camera, so it's, you know, I always feel that it's not fair to my opponent. I mean, a lot of times I kind of hope that maybe I have an opponent that can set this up and I can do the Skype thing from the other side. I was able to do it once with One's Bitten, but it's actually a pretty hard thing to do, to have the table and the armies and all that stuff. So, you know, I just do my best, and luckily so far my opponents have been pretty understanding. In this game, he had some pretty bad luck. If it wasn't for animosity and, you know, some of the terrain and his rolls and stuff, he could have been on me a lot faster, and it could have been a lot more interesting. I mean, it still was a good game. If it wasn't for my anvil screwing up the one turn, it could have been maybe a pretty one-sided. But at least the way it went, he was able to have his savages come in and cause me a lot of trouble. And I think the real mistake he probably made was just charging with those trolls, because what they could have done instead is just angled so that the shield unit would have been missing and going a different direction. But even then, once those great weapons got to the flank, they were in a lot of trouble. And I guess the only way you could have stopped that is I'd have to go back and look at the picture, but maybe something like the BSB could run out and be in the way so that I couldn't swing around. But basically it was in a pretty bad spot. But either way, he was a really good sport, and it was a lot of fun, and hope you liked watching it. Bye.